Hello everyone and welcome to this lovely video about Phylum, Nematoda, and Rotifera, which are roundworms and rotifers. These are more complex worms than the ones that I covered last time in my part 1 of 2 video. So, we have our little worm friend here to help guide along the process, and our worm over here, if you couldn't tell, is an annelid, which is one of the worms that I'm going to be talking about today. So, first let's go into roundworms. So, roundworms are pseudocollimates, which means, excuse me, it's an invertebrate that has a body cavity that's a pseudocol, and a pseudocolum is a body cavity that lies between the mesodermal and endothermal tissues, and is not completely surrounded by the mesodermal tissue. A true colum is completely surrounded by the mesodermal tissue, and can be subdivided into compartments. But so that's what a pseudocollimate is. And roundworms they can be marine, freshwater, and land, which is very cool. So they have a one-way digestive system. So that means their food goes in the mouth, and exits the other, the anus. Unlike the sponge, which has a two-way digestive system, which goes in and out through the same spot. A little sus if you ask me. But anyway. So they don't have any circulatory or respiratory organs because they use diffusion, and they only primarily reproduce sexually. This is very different from the past ones that I've gone over if you see any of my other videos, because they're pretty much all asexual and sexual, but this one's just sexual. So, and their internal fertilization, that might contribute to the fact that they're more advanced because they only have the internal, which is safer. So, they are free-living and feed on tiny invertebrates or dead matter, and they are parasites. They live in host intestines or organs. So then, roundworms, a little gross. Then rotifers. Rotifers are also pseudocollimates. Basically, it just means they have a cavity, if I'm being honest with you, and they're sectioned in that way. Here, I'll pull up a picture. This is what I mean by pseudocollimates. The roundworm structure over here, they have different layers. They have the pseudocolum, which is a fluid-filled cavity. Then they have the digestive tract in the center, and a muscle layer. So that's all that really means. I don't know why I had to explain that with so many complicated words, but yeah. And then the segmented worm. Also, as I went over in my previous part 1 video, was that it has these cavities. If you don't want to go watch it, that's totally fine. Basically, the segments allow them to move in a certain way. As you can see, the little worm guy is moving up and down with up and down motions, and that's basically what the segmented allows them to do. It also allows them to do sharp returns, stuff like that, and also other things, which I'll most likely get into. I don't know if I'll forget. That's all I'm saying that. Gotta be honest. The rotifers, they move using ciliated wheel-like structures. They're found in freshwater primarily, ponds, streams, lakes, that kind of thing. So be careful in those. And they feed on protists and organic material. They also have a mouth and anus. So again, the one-way digestive system, rather. It's weird because it's two, like, mouth and anus, but it's only one-way digestive system, just because it goes one way. So that's a good way to remember it. And they exchange gas and nutrients via diffusion. Next up is Phylum Annelida, which is our little worm guy. So I'm gonna spare you talking about roundworm infections because they're absolutely disgusting, or showing pictures of them. I'll discuss them if I have time at the end of the video, because I have a 10-minute timer thing. Because I have a time limit on the video. So, the earthworm is probably the most common annelid, but there's obviously a lot of variation around here, as you can see. So there are numerous benefits to the annelid body plan. They have guts, circulatory systems, and muscles, much like us, actually. The advantages of a segmented body is flexibility and movement. So that's another advantage that I was talking about before. Then for feeding, how do annelids eat? Some are parasitic and use their mouths to bite and suck blood from their host. Lovely. Others can collect food through filter feeding. Many worms also reach out to grab plants and can be seen. This can be seen in the feeding process of Diapatra tube-dwelling worms. I'm gonna insert a picture of those in a sec. Just give me one moment. They're actually quite beautiful, and as you can see, they live inside of tubes. Sorry about the piano in the background. I don't know if you could hear my brother's playing and will not stop. Anyway, so this is where was I? I cannot focus. So this is just a great example of the annelids. So Diapatras, they actually help their habitat, which is a mudflat, by providing stability for the habitat and its inhabitants. And how does it feed? It stays in the tube and leaves, grabbing seaweed or other food and devouring before the tide recedes. Another example is leeches. Leeches actually have a cool adaptation. They have an anesthetic they can produce and insert into their prey that actually makes them unaware of the bites. This allows them to suck the blood undetected, however long they please. Now I just pulled up a little blank background for my earthworm friend. So, how do they benefit the environment? And how do they move? And how the body segments involved in this action? So their bodies can pull, push, or slide themselves into any nook and cranny, burying deep into the earth. They never stop moving, actually, and turn a lot of dirt. So this contributes to better gardening because the worms eat leaf debris and cycle it through their bodies. This means that there's lots of nutrients involved. Next up, we're going to the depths of the ocean by the hot vent worm. So, what lives in their gills that provides nutrients for the hot vents? They actually have blood in their gills, which transports everything to bacteria living in their bodies. It's pretty cool how they work. They live near hot vents, hence the name. Another cool annelid is the terribilids, which are aka spaghetti worms because they have a spaghetti-like appearance. How do they feed? They pick up particles, move them to their mouth, and sort the particles in their mouth. It's pretty cool how they work. You should watch a video on it. Very interesting. What are their tubes made of? They're made of particles not used for food. And how do they get oxygen? They get oxygen from a branching gill system. The quality of this. Please ignore that and pay attention to what I have to say, I guess. So, how does the feather duster worm feed? It feeds. Well, I don't really remember, honestly. Let me look it up. They feed on plankton and baby brine shrimp. Okay, we're good. What adaptation does the feather duster worm have to avoid danger? It has eyes on each appendage, actually. So look out for danger. Our final worm. Well, annelid. It's the Abernicola lugworm. What do the Abernicola gills do? They are for breathing. How does the Abernicola burrow? It uses powerful contractions to push it deep into the ground. So, this has kind of the appearance of worms, and it's just a background that I'm going to use. So, to end this video, it's pretty interesting. The wondrous world of worms. They're also kind of gross, especially the roundworm, if you ask me. But yeah, there's so many different types, so many different variations, especially of the annelids. Very interesting to learn and delve into. And also, if you're in my class, make sure to look at the last video I did, at least the very last part of it, with the chart of all the diseases, because you're probably going to need to know that. Anyway, have a lovely day. Bye.